All right, welcome back, everyone. Our next speaker is Barbara Sanchez, a teacher, writer's advocate, and the host of the children's reading YouTube program, Barb's Book Buddies. She's been a teacher at Williamsville's Casey Middle School for over 30 years. Barb, I will turn things over to you. You can share your screen and start your presentation whenever you're ready.
Great, thank you. Hopefully we can see the slideshow at the moment. Is that coming up, Leah?
I'm not seeing it yet.
Okay, maybe it's taking a second. Let's see where we're at. Okay, let's see. We're going to go back to share and coming up now?
Yep, perfect.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I am so excited to be here today. And as much as children's books are absolutely my passion, I think my 5 points to ponder are going to be really useful for authors of all genres. And really where we need to start is with the title of my presentation, What Mo Knows and More. It's short, it's a little pithy, it's an alliteration, it rhymes, and hopefully what it did was make you a little curious. So our first point to ponder is, would you pick your book up based on the title? What if the only thing somebody could see, if this was on a bookshelf, is the spine? So in your title, don't be afraid to be dramatic. Ask some questions, have some rhythm, have some alliterations. Good titles should inform and interest the reader. Titles are meant to be memorable, original. And I thought it might be kind of fun to look at what some of these book titles originally were called, and then see if you can figure out what they're called now. So we have First Impressions. Might not know what that was originally the working title for. Yep, Pride and Prejudice. This next one absolutely just doesn't work. Mules and Horses Harness was Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind. Mistress Mary, I don't know, that sounds a little cheeky considering it was a children's book, The Secret Garden. The Eye and the Ear. What do you think? Ernest Hemingway's A Movable Feast. And since last week was just Halloween, I had to throw this one in. The Dead Undead, Bram Stoker's Dracula. So keep in mind that your title is flexible. It's called a working title, and it's going to grow and it's going to change just as much as your story is going to grow and change as you are writing it. So again, back to my title, What Mo Knows and More. So who is Mo Willems? He is the best-selling children's book author. And this is pretty exciting. He is also the Kennedy Center's very first education artist in residence. He is the author of Knuffle Bunny. Some people say Knuffle, but his daughter actually says Knuffle Bunny, and it's about her. Elephant and Piggy, and Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. So what makes everything that Mo Willems writes a hit? Mo's mantra is, always think of your audience, but never for your audience. He believes the most important part of the book, the heart of the book, is the audience reacting to what he has splattered on the page. And I actually had an opportunity to meet and chat with Mo Willems. He is as engaging, intriguing, unique, and as genuine as his books. So think about that. Point to ponder number one, what's the title? Point to ponder number two, will your readers get lost? In a good way. Linda Sue Park, a Newbery Award-winning author, has said, in order to find yourself in a book, you first have to lose yourself in that book. And I know this part gets a little sensitive here, but you have to look at your story as an invitation to sharing your emotional soul. It's okay to be authentic, be open, be raw. readers are a little bit like dogs and children, right? They're gonna know if you're being phony or if you're kind of being pushed into a direction. So fear, sadness, joy, happiness, they are all fundamental core emotions. And readers need to feel that connection with you and your story. When you ask someone what their favorite book is, especially what their favorite children's book is, they're usually going to respond with a smile, and they're going to want to tell you why it was their favorite. So think about this. Do you remember the first book that actually made you cry? For me, 6th grade, Bridge to Terabithia, hands down. First book that made you blush? Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret by Judy Blume was mine. First book that made you sleep with the light on. Now I have a little bit of a dark and twisty side, and after this first one, I was hooked. The Shining by Stephen King. I can picture myself being 13 years old in my room at midnight, flipping the light on. The first book that took you on an adventure? It's from The Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Baisley Frankweiler, for me, by E.L. Konigsberg. I would still love to get locked in an art museum. So I want you to think back, what were those books for you? And how could you make your book do that for someone else? Some things you want to try: evocative imagery. Just that term kind of oozes energy and emotion, right? So we know words and ideas that utilize our senses are going to be really powerful. So you're going to want to create some kind of sensory analogies or examples of things that your readers can relate to. So let's look at some of those 5 senses. And I do realize with picture books, a lot of times you're thinking, well, they're going to see the pictures. But could they actually see what your story is by just the words alone? So let's take a look at some famous pieces. And we don't have to read through the whole thing, but some certain words are going to jump out of here, hopefully. Whirling dust, torn spirals, harsh blue, blue bottle, curving flight. So what sense is jumping out in 1984 by George Orwell? Yeah, the sense of sight. Gives you a visual. You can almost picture what the scene is. Let's take a peek at which sense jumps out here. And in this case, it's kind of given away. But the only other sounds the sweet of easy wind and downy flight. So we can almost see ourselves standing there, but hearing, or maybe not hearing something, that beautiful silence that winter brings. So yep, that's our auditory or our hearing. Okay, I know it's going to be close to lunchtime pretty soon, so this might just push you right over the edge. But Elizabeth Gilbert in Eat, Pray, Love, thin, doughy, strong, gummy, yummy, chewy, salty. We look at the word bubbly, creamy, melts, right? We know what it's going to be. It's that taste. And that wonderful term, gustatory, just makes you want to take a bite. Maybe I need to order a pizza later. How about what sense jumps out here? Forrest Gump was actually a story. Someone asked me that before it was a movie. And when we look and we kind of feel things like stinging rain, big old fat rain, coming down sideways or straight down, you feel yourself. Everybody's been probably caught in some kind of storm before. And in this case, we can actually feel it. It's touch or it's tactile. So you want to keep in mind that one more sense is the most powerful sense. And it's not used as much as it probably should be in writing. And that is, I'm going to give it away, the smell or the olfactory. So when we see words like reeked or overheated or scorched, you can kind of, it's almost responding to it. In this case, it's probably not a real positive smell. It could be some wonderful aromas or scents that put you in the story. So you want to keep in mind that you're going to want to conjure up exactly what you're feeling, but also leave some room for the reader's schema. Where's their history coming from? What's their now look like? How are you getting into their life? Point to ponder number 3. Will your book demand to be read or eaten? I love this. I have to read this with you. In a 2006 interview with NPR, Maurice Sendak shared this. Once a little boy sent me a charming card with a little drawing on it. I loved it. I answer all of my children's letters, sometimes very hastily, but this one I lingered over. I sent him a card and I drew a picture of a wild thing on it. I wrote, "Dear Jim, I loved your card." And then I got a letter back from his mother, and she said, "Jim loved your card so much, he ate it." That to me was one of the highest compliments I have ever received. He didn't care that it was an original Maurice Sendak drawing or anything. He saw it, he loved it, he ate it. So what you need to do is get to your story early. You need to grab me, and then you need to keep a steady pace. What happens? What's happening next? Is there a problem? Is there a solution? You need to hang on to me, and then you need to end with making me feel something. Maybe it's a surprise, a resolution, a lesson, some kind of revelation. Remember, you need to gobble me up. For picture books, you do want to keep in mind the balance of words and pictures. Remember, your intended audience is a child, but an adult will most likely be reading it. So even if the parent is lost in your story, that 4-year-old isn't going to sit still for it. It's not going to continue to be read. We want to keep in mind that books not only teach us about ourselves, but also about each other. Beth Cox, she's fabulous. I follow her on LinkedIn. She is an inclusion and equality consultant, and she says, diversity just isn't about ethnicity, but it encompasses many different facets, including, but not limited to, disability, gender and gender identity, sexual orientation, and family setup. Here's a little question. A man and his son are in a terrible accident and are rushed to the hospital in critical care. The doctor looks at the boy and exclaims, "I can't operate on this boy. He's my son." So how could this be? When this was originally thought through, the idea was to question our own gender stereotypes. And the obvious answer should have been that the surgeon was the boy's mother. But it could also be that the surgeon was his other dad. Diversity in children's books is really something that we need to focus on and demand right now. Our point to ponder number 4. Seek impartial ears and eyes. I think you've heard that from many of our speakers today, but it's really important. It's so hard for a family member, a really good friend, not to go, "Oh, I love it." But you really do need to step outside of that and get involved with some of the organizations that are out there. The SCBWI actually even states that except in rare circumstances, it is seldom a good idea for authors and illustrators to collaborate before publication. If your manuscript doesn't come to life visually without being explained, it probably does need a little bit more work. So you want to get involved. You need to join some groups that are going to support you. Locally, we have the BNCWI, which is a branch of the SCWBI, the Buffalo Niagara Children's Writers and Illustrators. I have met so many amazingly talented people and done some fabulous networking through there. And I heard that we're also going to have someone from our Just Buffalo Literacy Center. That's a wonderful place, again, to jump in and share some information. Megan Pipe from Just Buffalo shared with me that if you're just looking for community and inspiration, they have some wonderful writing workshops available too. So I also highly, strongly encourage you, go to author events, signings, and readings. For the past few years, I have gone to the R. Michelson Gallery. It's located in Northampton, Massachusetts. This actually would have been the weekend I would have gone. I drive for about 12 hours for a 2-hour event. And this is the event that I actually met Mo Willems, Norton Juster, David Weisner, you name it, so many amazing people. And I think you can tell if you know who Arthur Aardvark is, PBS, but again, those were books to start. That's Mark Brown. And I'm a little starstruck because I was absolutely enthralled with meeting Mark Brown and chatting with him. But I highly encourage you, look around, see what's out there, and make the time and effort to go. You're going to learn so many things. Also, we have right here in Western New York, our amazing Children's Book Expo. Mark your calendars, November 13th, 2021. Kim Krug will be here also in a little bit. And Kim puts together an amazing group of authors and a fabulous opportunity to bring children to meet authors, but also for you to go and meet authors. And here I was very fortunate. I met Reem Farouk. Unbeknownst to me, she posted this picture in her blog, and I'm looking forward to meeting with Reem in the future and share her lovely story, Leila's Lunchbox, down the road. Don't forget social media. TED Talks are really fabulous places to also watch authors and see how they share their love and their learning. Also look at areas that are outside of your genre, because there are common threads. And every time I look at something else, I just pick up a little something to share. I also really recommend that you print your manuscript. I will catch things on a printed copy that I could never catch when I'm looking at my screen. I will work with authors and literally just put my finger over a word and they read it again and it reads so completely differently. So you want to take some time, go through it. Also, this might seem obvious, but read it at different times throughout the day. Read it when you're tired, read it when you're well rested, read it when you're hungry, read it when you're satiated. You're going to find different things on that printed hard copy than you will probably see by just kind of flipping through the manuscript on your laptop or your desktop. And my last point to ponder. I don't want to steal from Nike, but I wrote just do it, okay, but do it. My friend Claire Sally Mae has a wonderful way of finding things that inspire me. And she actually gave me a beautiful glass paperweight that says should, would, could, all crossed out. And then on the bottom says did. So you need to remember you are an author or an illustrator. I see so many times on social media people write, I'm an aspiring. No, you're not. You're there. You already made it. So how do I know that? Because you're here today. You signed up for this event. So be proud of what you're doing. It's going to happen. It will get published. A really great way. Somebody said this to me once, and it just kind of changed my mindset. Just use the term, not unpublished, pre-published. Pre, meaning before. Independent publishing houses are out there. Larger publishing houses will pick it up if you push it, if it's good, and it is good because it's yours. Something has nudged you or kind of pushed you to put those words or those thoughts on a page. And if they've moved you, you know that they're going to absolutely move somebody else. Some people are going to tell you to write every day. Some people will tell you not to write every day. There is no secret formula. I do find that rituals can be really helpful when you need to get back into the groove. I know that Dolores mentioned she had put something in a drawer for 2 years. That happens, but going back and having those kind of rituals, maybe it's making a particular cup of tea, maybe it's pouring a glass of wine. I guess that would depend on what time of the day it is, a certain pen that you might want to use. Rituals can be really important to keep us moving and moving forward in that direction. They can also sometimes be an excuse. Oh, can't write today, can't find my pen. We don't want to go there with it. I had an opportunity to listen in to an interview, virtual interview actually, with Daniel Jose Older, and he just came back with the most simple ideas. Become an active participant of your story. You should never be on the outside. You need to be in it. Have a relationship with that blank page. Go ahead and journal. Be honest. You don't have to show everyone everything you write. Just get it out of here, get it onto a page. And as obvious as it is, just tell the story. So we need to go back. I like to cycle back, as they say, and we need to look at Mo. So this is a picture of Mo Willems, and just for a little inspiration, realize that he says, and he likes to exaggerate a little bit, but that pigeon, meaning pigeon that drove the bus, was rejected by 23 billion publishers. But he also says something that's kind of revealing and interesting. The publisher that actually took his book said the exact same thing that all the publishers that rejected it did. They said it was unusual. And that, of course, he did not see as a pejorative. He saw it as a positive, and so should you. So keep in mind, we are all authors. We are all creating our stories. You, however, have decided to take those most vulnerable, admirable next steps and share and write your story. So my number one rule in parenting, if you don't want to be around your child, nobody else does. So I really believe that that pertains to your writing as well. Your story is your baby. You will need to guide it, discipline it, nurture it, let it grow. But most importantly, of course, you need to love it. So be patient with yourself, be patient with the process, have fun, good luck, be well, and as always, be hopeful. I would also like to mention my website is literally going to be launched within hours, I'm hoping. If you go to www.barbsbookbuddies.com, right now you're going to see my little sidekick, Herman. He has a little construction hat on, but it is literally going to be launched very soon. Probably the best way to connect with me right now is checking out my YouTube channel. At the end, I have listed, again, my email and my snail mail, if you will, address. So thank you so much for letting me share my passion, and I hope that I've given you all some thoughts and some ideas to use in your own craft.
Thanks, Barbara. We have about 5 minutes left for some questions. And someone would like to know if you could talk to us about Barb's Book Buddies and what you do.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I would love to. So Barb's Book Buddies is my YouTube channel, and my goal is to represent independent authors and get their stories out there. So I will usually pick books that I think I can make pop or come alive, that I can help somewhat be interactive with. Sometimes my authors are with me if they choose to be, and that's great to play off of them. I think it's really important for children to see authors actively involved in sharing their stories. Sometimes my authors don't want to be a part of things, and that's okay too. That's what I get to do. And books come to me through a whole bunch of different ways. Sometimes it's word of mouth. I love going to my P.O. box because people will send me their books. I have a couple independent publishing companies that will send me books to look at for review. And that's pretty much how Book Buddies kind of started. I saw that there were so many kids that were just not using devices in a safe way, and I wanted to have some positive alternatives. So that's where the YouTube channel started. Ideally, I would love to have my buddies in front of me. Prior to COVID, I was able to do that, and we will again. But now we're just kind of moving in a direct-to-camera setting.
We have another question about what does a writer's advocate do?
So I'm kind of a coach, kind of a cheerleader. I put eyes on your story. I can be impartial with you and go through your story in a kind, caring, considerate way, and just give you a little bit of direction. As I said, sometimes if it's a hard copy, I will look at it, and what I normally do is sit down with an author, give them my points to ponder, they'll read through them, and then we'll sit down side by side if we can, or virtually, and go through their manuscript together. Just throw some different ideas back out to them, encourage them to use the evocative imagery. And so I think also as an advocate, getting their stories out there in different ways. So one of my favorite episodes I just filmed was based on this book, which is called Hope, Where Are You? And it's quite timely. And what was interesting about this book, it's about 6 children all around the world, how they handle pandemic and when schools close. And it's in 30 different languages, but one language it wasn't in was American Sign Language. So I worked with a local author, Amy Crockford, on putting it into American Sign Language. Actually, as I read the book, she signed it, and then that was posted on our YouTube channel. And then getting kids to watch and having some fun looking at books in a different way.
Okay, and we only have about 2 minutes left, but I have one more question from Melissa, who asks, have you seen your viewership on YouTube change or increase due to the pandemic? Are more people looking for digital content nowadays?
I believe they are. I have to confess, this started before, obviously, all of this happened. And then all of a sudden, everybody started reading books on YouTube. So it was kind of like, wait, what? But I do feel that I have a unique niche in the fact that there aren't a lot of people out there that are trying to represent the independent author. There's a gazillion readings of certain books, and I think it's really important for people to know that they do have that option and that opportunity to get their books in and out into the mainstream. Another little offshoot that I'm working on is with Kim Krug, actually, and another author, Dr. Robert Unseld Robinson. And we have a group that we're working through with Oshai Children's Hospital called the Courage and Kindness Book Club. And we do readings of different books that demonstrate courage and kindness. And that's going to be another branch on Barb's Book Buddies, and it's up and running right now with Oshai and the group called Stones Buddies through Oshai.
Thank you so much, Barb.